Arielle, like nothing in this game, nothing at all makes me confident that Southern is going to beat Jackson State this week. As a matter of fact, I'm even less confident. I'm less confident. I'm basically scared. I feel like I'm wasting my time watching this game. Like I honestly feel like I feel like just let me know who wins. You know what I'm saying? They're not gonna be Jackson State. If they do put this out, say I was wrong, I will wear it. I've been wrong before. I'm human. But if someone puts this out and I say Southern's gonna lose, can I state my case? Can I please state my case? Like, look at this game. Grambling led in both categories. Southern's defense is really good. Dumas is really good. They have a great defense down there. And the defense played pretty well against Jackson State. You know what I'm saying? On October the 29th, when College Game Day was down there, they played really well against Jackson State. But they're not going to beat Jackson State because it's like you cannot play a game like this. You can't have your quarterback like throw for 75 yards and think you're going to win. And then let's say by some stroke of luck they do. Let's say that, let's say the Deion Sanders rumors are getting to the players and they're human. So they're like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. Am I going to transfer? And they all in their head and, you know, all the different stuff. And they just go out there and they just punt the game and then Southern steals one. They're not going to win the championship against North Carolina Central. Like, you're not going against Davius Richards completing 7 passes for 75 yards. That's not happening. It's like they're going to lose either way. Like, they're waiting for a loss. You know how Shannon Sharp says he's serving hot L's in his restaurant? They're waiting for a hot L when they get home, like they're the man of the house. That's what they're waiting for at this point. Because it's like you can't do that. And power to that brother, like Basar McCray, but he has to be better. Power to him. You know what I'm saying? He's a student athlete. I support him, and I think he's talented. I think he has a place on this team, but just not a starting quarterback. I think maybe put him in the running back position. Maybe I don't know if they play Wildcat, but play more Wildcat. I don't know what they got to do. But the quarterback position is a problem, and I think that's going to elude them against a better team in Jackson State. And even if they were to beat Jackson State, which they're not, that's going to elude them against a North Carolina Central team because you're not going tit for tat with Shedeur Sanders nor Davius Richards.
You know, and you were just saying that, and I was thinking about the Saints, you know, how they do those little quarterback sneaks with Andy Dalton. And I don't know why the other man escapes me. It's not Simeon, but it's another quarterback. Or it seemed like every time he enters, he ran straight through the Falcons in our first meeting. And I'm just sitting here like, when did they develop this system? And I wouldn't mind seeing McCray do that. But I haven't seen another quarterback that's come through Southern that's proven to me that they'll be okay without McCray being the starter. I personally think the reason why he ran it so much is you don't have a backfield just like how Central does. Davius Richards is able to be a dual threat quarterback because he knows the weapons that he has. If he can't do it himself, he can trust other people. And I think that's what with the game on the line and wanting to go to that SWAC championship, I feel like that's maybe what he was thinking. I can't say for sure that I need to do everything in my power to win this game, but there's no I in team. You have to learn how to trust your other players because as good as Southern's defense is, and it is, and they proved that's not what's going to win the game against Jackson State. Like there is a very, 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 very like 0.00000, maybe I'll throw a 9 in there, 9.8 that you are going to win against Jackson State. But especially the way that your offense is playing, I don't believe it. And I'm not gonna lie, devil's advocate again, I'm hoping for an upset. Like I would love, because you know, we thought Alcorn was going to do it. Then we thought Southern was going to do it. We maybe thought Alabama State was going to get their lick back and didn't. So for me, I don't want them to go to the Celebration Bowl and lose because I think that kind of just speaks to the team, not Deion Sanders as a coach, but it speaks to the team about what they're doing down there, that you can be so good, but you can't win a Celebration Bowl. I'd rather you lose the SWAC championship than go all the way and lose again. I think that would hurt more. But, you know, like I said, I'm pulling for an upset. Somebody's got to beat them. And if they don't, congrats. But it's definitely not going to be Southern the way that they were playing.
So we agree. So someone has to beat them. And we also agree that it's not Southern. Okay. We agree on that at this point. If anybody is North Carolina Central, and we'll talk about that more on next week. But let's really quickly talk about the SWAC Championship, 2022 SWAC Championship out here. Jackson State versus Southern University rematch, Boombox Classic. Jackson State beats Southern 35-0 on October the 29th, the day that ESPN College Game Day came on campus, but the game was on ESPN3. That's still funny. How you bring a whole historic pregame show just for it to be online? But this game gonna be on ESPN2, so there's that. You know what I'm saying? Come back, College Game Day. Tell them to come back. Like we on ESPN2 this time. But so Southern lost 35-0. And there's nothing that can convince me that Southern's going to win this game. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. There's nothing earthly possible that can convince me that Southern's going to win this game. Honestly, and I've said this before, I'm a big fan of Southern just by proxy. Like the two schools I could have seen myself going to if it wasn't Fort Valley is A&T too, A&T to a certain degree. But like FAMU and Southern, to a certain degree with A&T. FAMU and Southern. Like I really am a fan of those two institutions, both on and off the field. I think that they're amazing schools, and I find myself rooting for them no matter what game it is. Like the Bayou Classic, I was rooting for Southern. Like when they got that pick six, I was like, yes. I jumped up. I'm like, yes. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I just naturally root for Southern, you know. But we can't count on Rashawn McCray. I have stats to back this up. Just by stats, not by feelings, by stats. October 29th versus Jackson State, Arielle, 9 of 26 in passing for 85 yards, 1 interception, no touchdown, sacked 3 times. Jackson State has one of the top defenses in FCS, if not the top, if we look at the numbers. Bayou Classic, 7 of 17, 75 yards, 0 passing touchdowns. You're not going to run on Jackson State. You're not running on them. You need a dynamic quarterback who's going to win you the game for real. Like you're not running on Jackson State for real. So if you look at October 29th, Southern rushed for 136 yards, and that number is lopsided because of the 52-yard run that Gerard Sims had that really turned into nothing because they didn't score. They didn't get a field goal. They didn't get a touchdown. So that was a 52-yard run for nothing. So let's just say, let's do math. I'm not that good at math, but I mean, I can subtract. So 136 minus 52 is 84. So they rushed for 84 yards minus that play against Jackson State. Now they rushed well against Grambling, but Grambling isn't Jackson State. Grambling gives up 190 yards rushing a game. Southern rushed for 181 and had 3 touchdowns on the ground. You know what I mean? So, like, for me, looking at the numbers, Jackson State ain't the team that you're going to run on for real. So, how are you going to score? Because you didn't score in the first game. Like, what are you going to do this time? You know, because the defense played well. It wasn't the defense. Southern didn't get outclassed. Like, it was a point where FAMU got outclassed against Jackson State. Southern didn't get outclassed. They just got outscored because the defense showed up. And then you had that first drive with Deion Sanders. He went for the fourth down conversion. He tried to go for it on 4th down, and it didn't work. And then Southern stopped him. You know what I'm saying? They had some great stops. If you have a quarterback that goes in there and moves down the field for a field goal or gets a touchdown, we're looking at a drastically different game. But it just simply did not happen. So on Southern side, I just believe that they can't win. And just really quickly, I'll say about Jackson State before I talk about you, Arielle, is that Jackson State, like I said, they're very talented and they've been tested. I think they're really a team with championship DNA. But the problem is they haven't seen a quarterback that can solve their defense. And they haven't seen a really dynamic quarterback for real, arguably, since Jeremy Musa, who didn't do that well versus them, Howes Malik Williams for Campbell. He did okay. He was all right, but Howes Malik Williams is a better quarterback. I think he played a little bit better against A&T than he did against Jackson State, and that might have been because of Jackson State's defense. And, of course, Andrew Body is a great quarterback. Andrew Body did okay versus Jackson State. And I don't think they're going to face a dynamic quarterback that can really solve their defense and that they have to game plan for until they play Davius Richards versus, like North Carolina Central. You know what I'm saying? So like, I honestly think that that's going to be what eludes Southern, but that's what's going to hurt Jackson State. Is like when you play North Carolina Central, because I think they're going to win the championship. When you play North Carolina Central, you playing a different quarterback. So are you going to be able to game plan and stop Davius Richard? Like, that's really the question. Because but the thing that could hurt Jackson State is, and this isn't in my notes, this is just from how I feel. The thing that could hurt Jackson State is the outside noise. That could hurt them because the chatter about Deion Sanders possibly leaving and all these different jobs popping up and him not definitively saying, no, I'm not going, which, of course, in a negotiation, if he's planning to go, he can't say that. But the fact that there's sort of an open-endedness to those rumors, that could put your head in the clouds a little bit. That could make you sort of figure out and think, what's going to happen? Do I stay here? Am I going to transfer with him? Like, what's going to happen? Because that's just the business of college sports. Do I think that's going to happen? I don't really think so, because I think they want to go to the Celebration Bowl and win because they didn't win last year. But I think that these players are human. And I know for me, I would feel a way about that. And hopefully, and Deion Sanders is a great man, and I think he's a great communicator. So I think all of those things combined together, I think he had to sit down with his team, no cameras, nothing like that, and told them, listen, y'all, I'm going to be real with y'all. There are jobs that's looking at me, and, for the right job, I might leave. But I'm here right now, and I'm present right now with Jackson State right now. So we can go out and win. Like I think that hopefully he's had that conversation. I don't know if he has. I have no source on that. But I think if he hasn't, he should, because that could be what loses. I think Southern doesn't beat Jackson State. I think Jackson State beats Jackson State. If Travis Hunter's thinking, man, I can't Jackson State play with Deion Sanders, I guess I'm leaving with him, right? You know what I'm saying? These other folks where it's like, well, I mean, like, can I play at the Power 5 level? Like, or can I play at the Group of 5 level? Like I think that could beat them. And then possibly if Southern does find a way to run the ball, maybe Bassan makes us all look crazy. Well, not me, because you said he's a dual threat. I don't think he's a dual threat. I think he's a great runner. But let's say he proves me wrong, and I'm like the guy that motivated him. I'm gonna be like, I sure did say you couldn't throw, because I'm a real one. I said you couldn't throw, you threw. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna be like, yeah, no, I'm a real one. You know what I'm saying? But like maybe he does throw. But I just don't see it for Southern winning. But I think that if Jackson State beats itself and they're in their head because of what the press conference could be, or what next week could be leading into Celebration Bowl, or even what after the Celebration Bowl could be when Deion Sanders says, I'm going to USF, or I'm going to Colorado, or I'm going to this school that was talking to me that just emerged. I think that could really be the problem.
When you were saying Jackson State can only be Jackson State, it just kind of reiterates that Jackson State is a very superior team. Like, even if you do win against them, is it really a win? Knowing who they are and their history. Like you can say that. I feel like you can say that in playoffs, and you can say that well, I don't know, in this playoff particular situation, Southern can be proud of a win. But mostly if it was a different competitor in the playoff, and if it was a Celebration Bowl, you could say that you beat Jackson State. But at this very moment, you're right. Only Jackson State can beat Jackson State. And I personally believe, I have hope and I have faith that I think he did have that conversation, because it's all in the news, and you got to make sure that your players keep their head in the game. But back to what I was saying, I do want to recant my statement. I don't think McCray is a dual threat. I do think there's a difference between being a dual threat and you can do both things, but one really well. So Davius Richards is a dual threat. We know he can pass. We know he can run. He can use his legs. But Sean McCray, and I'm gonna prove this in stats for this season, he is an okay quarterback. He can run, and sometimes that's what you need. But when it comes to throwing, you have been shaky, and you were even shaky in this last game. He only has two weapons that he can use, between Kedrick Grimes, which is his running back, and another running back, which is Carl LeJean. His wide receiver depth is very, very low. So we're not going to see him make those really nice Hail Mary passes or those 20 plus yard passes, because we know Jackson State and they have a really good defense, and they're actually really good when it comes to man-to-man coverage. You're not missing that on Jackson State, especially on their defense. So only having your running game, and they know that's the only thing you have, and especially if they know this quarterback likes to run a lot, they're already going to cut that in the first half. And that's what worries me. Jackson State knows how to get up and get going when it comes to the first half, especially the first quarter. Southern is not that kind of team, especially with the lack of depth that they have of trying to make plays happen. Because honestly, after the third quarter, you didn't see much of Kendrick Grimes. You didn't see much of Carl LeJohn after that. It was basically the defense. The defense were forcing those fumbles. The defense had an interception. The defense had a turnover on downs. The defense was stopping at 4th and short. But Sean McCray didn't do anything for them. So that's one of my main concerns. But also this, when we talk about stats and why he isn't as great as Shedeur Sanders. Throughout this whole season, he's 58%. Shedeur Sanders is looking close to 75%. That's a huge difference. And then you look at them defensively, because I was trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. Jackson State is 38% more productive in defense than they are versus Southern. And this is just their top 3 players. So you're looking at a defense from Jackson State that they're looking, and as soon as you throw the ball, they're ready to intercept it, they're ready to bat it down, or they're going to not let you get to the person that you were aiming for, that you had locked in, and that's a target. So you're thinking about, I have a quarterback and I don't know a solution for him. I only have 2 main running backs, and I have maybe 1 wide receiver that's going to do it for me. And now I'm playing against a defense that outrates me, out tackles me, out fumbles me, out pressures me. And Jackson State is known to put the pressure, especially in the pocket. There is statistically and realistically no way that Southern wins. Do they get beat bad? No. I am never going to say that. I feel like Southern can hold their own like most teams have. I feel like Southern might hold a little bit better, honestly, and I could be wrong, than Alabama State. They might show some fight in them, but not enough fight where they're going to go through and feel satisfactory about themselves. Because if the only thing that helps me beat Jackson State is they worry if I'm losing a coach or not, that's sad. You need to think of another game plan than this. And if I was Southern's coach, I would be thinking of what other weapons, like what other freshmen do I have? Because these running backs are freshmen. You're looking at freshmen. You're looking at the next installment of your team. You need to start pulling out that roster, because other than that, hey, McCray is going to get crushed. You can't run against Jackson State. They will hurt you, and you will be out for the rest of the game. And then you really losing at that point. So, sorry, Southern, if you're listening. We do love you. We do support you, just not in this instance specifically.
But, I just personally believe that, you can't predict sports, and it's all about what happens on the field, but also what's going on mentally. That's why I say the caveat that if Jackson State beats himself, I think that is going to go another way, and Southern should capitalize on that if that is the case. But let's go on and get out of here. Arielle, where can we find you on social media?
You can follow me on Twitter at @screwy__, or go to my website at www.theunaxedopinion.weebly.com.